Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are back again after just doing the other podcast for the other one of Tough Finale. We're up to UFC 226. So again, hit that subscribe button down below. I have noticed a couple of comments last week asking for the timings of each fight. So I'm going to spend my time timing the comment for each bout for you guys, because I didn't know that was a thing. If I'm honest,
it's a thing. Yeah, it's a big thing. I mean, I get it on my channel as well.
Yeah,
I think some people don't want to hear about it. To be fair to them,
there's a fight here I don't want to talk about, but we're going to talk about it.
Like Emily Whitmire, who wants to talk about that and listen to people talk about that? So I can see why they want to miss certain fights.
Yeah, so I'm going to do it from from the Tough video and this video going forward. I'm going to put that effort in for you guys at home and girls, that I'm going to put the timings in, alright? So apologies for not doing it in the past. I did not know that as a thing, and now I do. Alright, so again, hit that subscribe button, whatever you're on, whatever social media platform. Get us up to that 200 on YouTube at least, and then we can start just going forward further and further. And also check out the interviews. I've been doing a lot of interviews recently, so there's a lot of content there for a lot, especially the Invicta and the Cage Warriors cards coming up. Give them some love, people. Now we're going to start at the bottom of the UFC 226 card, and it is literally, we are scraping the bottom of the barrel of the, oh gosh, we've got to talk about this, but we're going to do it. Jamie Moyle against Emily Whitmire. Okay, I'll kick it off, bro, because I'm going to make it short and sweet. I'm not looking forward to this fight. Like, it was bad enough watching the footage, and it's bad enough that they signed them. Like, these girls, do you remember how the UFC have got that UFC development program that they've got in place? They send people around the regional scenes. Get these girls outside of the UFC. Stick them in Invicta, stick them in LFA. Just get them out of here. Let them grow. Give them like 3 fights outside the promotion. If they can go out there, win those fights, then fine, bring them in. Like, they're just not, in my opinion, I don't think they've got the quality striking, the none of it. Like, honestly, man, it's going to be horrible to watch. I'm going to pick someone. So, in fact, I might even feel like saying it's going to be a draw. But I'll pick Jamie, decision, and just because I have to pick someone. But, mate, I'm not super keen on this fight.
No, I'm picking Jamie as well. Simple fact, she's won a fight in the UFC. I know it's over Kylie Curran, who's allergic to winning fights in the UFC. She's at Team Alpha Male, so she has been training with some fairly decent people. I think that Corey McKenna was maybe one of them she helped out, who fought in Cage Warriors, and there's Cynthia Calvillo. Emily Whitmire, I think there's a fight really made for Jamie Moyle to win a fight. If she can't win this fight, she deserves to be hoyed out of the UFC by her pigtails, pretty much. I'm going to pick Jamie Moyle, and she's going to win by decision, but I really don't give 2 shits about that fight.
Nope, so that's that marker done. Next fight. Alright, okay, so I'm not sure which fight order you've got. I'm going off the MMA Junkie one. I hope it's in line and in sync. So, okay, I've got the next fight is Klose versus Vannata. Is that the one you have? Okay, yeah. Wicked. Mate, absolutely, what a fight to take on next, mate. Woo! Like, that fight out of the way, this one is... Oh, this is going to be fire. Okay, break it down, Will.
Yeah, like I say, Vannata is always a guy I like watching fight, because he brings it no matter what. He does fade a little bit, which he can get hit with some big shots, which he has in the past in the Ferguson fight, the Bobby Green fight. But I think he's got a really good skill set, and he's a really exciting fighter. Drakkar Klose, I don't think he's great. I think he's a strong grappler. But outside of that, I don't think there's much there. And that Diakese fight, he won that very, very close. Lost convincingly to David Tamer, who I thought just pretty much beat him up. I'm usually quite a big fan of the lab guys, and I still am, to be honest with you, but I just don't think Drakkar's all that good. I think Lando Vannata is going to piece him up from the outside and really put it on him. He's going to start trying to get takedowns, rushing him, and I think he's just going to start getting peppered with very fast hands, fast kicks, and you have to be careful, because we've seen that knockout of John McDessie, that if he catches you with one of those kicks, he will put you down. If the fight goes later into late round 2, into round 3, Klose might have a little bit of success with maybe tying him up, getting takedowns through the clinch or whatever, dropping down for single legs, getting him to the ground. I think that Lando Vannata is going to catch him with a shot and knock him out, personally. So I'm going to pick Lando to win via TKO some point in this fight. So maybe late round 1, early round 2 for me for Lando Vannata to win the fight.
I got to go with you. I go on Vannata. I think he just shows a large repertoire of striking. And that is, like you say, the number one key in this fight is it starts standing, and Vannata straight away, huge advantage. I just don't know if Klose is knowledgeable enough to be able to snuff it, get him against the cage, get him down. Vannata's strong, he's got good grappling as well himself. I think Klose is just going to come short here. I just don't think he's got enough in his arsenal to really kind of outthink Vannata and stop him. Don't get me wrong, he's got some bits in him, Klose, that can really put a lot of guys in trouble in the UFC. Like there's guys in that lower rankings that he'll probably get wins over. It's just because his style, some guys won't be able to stop it. I just think Vannata, and like he's had a hard run, Vannata, with the UFC, some of the fights that he had, but I think he is one of those guys who will, in a couple of fights, be pushing up that rankings pretty high. It's just he came in pretty heavy, and I think he just needs get that run going. You know, a lot of guys have, those short notice guys that come in and fight the higher ranked guys, they need to just come all the way back down the bottom to build himself back up, and I think Vannata's going to get a good run going in the UFC, and I think we're going to see a lot from him in the next 12 to 18 months. Big things for this guy, because he is exciting, like you said, Will. He's so good to watch. I enjoy watching him big time. When I heard he was on a card, in fact, this card is got some great fights. I'm absolutely solid fights. Next up we have Gilbert Burns, Dan Hooker. This is another insanely good match. Well, again, it's down in the prelims because the rest of the card's stacked.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know if the Felder fight has been moved at all. So I'm just going off what I've got at the moment. So if it has been moved, it could be moved. I don't know. So we're going to assume that the Burns and Hooker fight is still in the prelims. Man, Gilbert Burns is one of those guys who's got so much, but you just don't know if he's going to come that day. And you don't know if he's going to be on point. We know he's all right on the ground. He's got an all right grappling skill set, but his striking is coming. The dude's starting to get that confident in striking. When you got Mr. Hoof there in your corner, holding your pads, teaching you how to throw down, and obviously he's probably sparred with the likes of Luke Rockhold, Robbie Lawler, all those guys. He's probably sparred with a cluster of good guys. Gilbert, his striking does come on. His striking defense will come on. Dan Hooker, he's surprising a lot of people. Mr. Hooker is like, he came in that Ross Pearson fight. I was a bit like, oh, okay, probably beat Ross because but he's just been coming leaps and bounds. Dan Hooker, he's so good at 155, just suits his body type. I'm weirdly going to pick Dan Hooker. And the reason why is I just think I think Gilbert will have a tough time trying to get it down. If he can, it'll be the sneaky trips. And if he gets it down, I'm not saying it's over, because Dan Hooker will probably be okay on the ground because he's quite long. I think that Dan's going to get him with the striking on the feet, because we've seen Gilbert's gas tank in the past go before, because with the striking he expels a lot of the energy and doesn't really know how to get that back. He doesn't know when to pull the trigger and how much of he wants to. He puts a bit too much in his strikes sometimes and thinks they're landing, and when you miss, it's horrendous. I just worry that Gilbert's going to expend a bit too much and not get a lot back. So I'm going to go with Dan Hooker on this one, because I think he's got the striking skill set to really cause problems. I'm going to go decision. No. Late stoppage, Dan Hooker. I'm going to go on. Third round, Dan Hooker. Quick, go on. Right, what are you going, Will?
I think it's a really good fight, good matchmaking. But I'm struggling, honestly, to pick the winner of this fight. I think I'm seeing a lot of people really confident in Dan Hooker, but the money line, there's money coming in Gilbert Burns because the line has come down, so people are seeing it's a close fight, and I think it's a very close fight.
Yeah.
We all know that the skills that Durinho's got on the ground, something that he's always had before he came into the UFC, a really talented guy, and we've seen when he really needs it, like in the Alex Oliveira fight, he got his ass beat up in that fight, and then in the third round, he knew he had to get to the ground, and he knew he had to submit the guy to win the fight, and he came out there and did it, and that's a great win on your resume over Alex Oliveira. And his only two losses are to Rashid Magomedov, Michel, they're tough dudes. Michel Prazares is winning fights up at 170 now and undersized against bigger guys. He's just a hard guy to face. Definitely got power in his hands. Big worry is the gas tank though. I think Drakkar wins this fight. If he doesn't get taken down, I think he pieces him. I think he maybe pieces Gilbert Burns up a little bit. I think he is the more technical striker. I don't know whether he hits as hard as what Gilbert does it when he throws, but I think he's got more tools. I think he's got the knees. I think he's got the leg kicks. Where I think Derrick was one of those guys that's really only got hands. But to be fair to him, he has got some big power on those hands as well. Struggling with this one because the fighters that Dan Hooker's faced, I mean, Jim Miller, he's no harm to the guys on his way out. Ross Pierce, he's probably already out, if I'm being honest with you, even though he's probably got a fight coming up soon. And Chiesa, I still think a good win in your record, and that was a close fight for the most part. Then his experience started to take over and he won that one there. I'm going to pick Dan Hooker, but honestly I think that Gilbert Burns is an extremely live fighter in this contest here, but I'm going to pick Dan Hooker. Did I say Dan Burns? I think I call him Dan Burns there.
You could call him Dan Burns just so you can sit in the middle and sit on the fence.
Yeah. I'm going to go Dan Hooker.
It's hard, isn't it? It is. It's horrible to pick. Horrible. Next up, man. I can't wait for this fight either. Max Griffin, Curtis, Millender. Man, take it away, Will. What a fight this is going to be.
Good fight. I don't know. I'm still a bit annoyed with myself.
Will,
like,
you still there,
when I was watching. Yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
Oh, you're breaking up quite a bit there. Sorry, bro.
Oh, can you hear me? Can you see me?
Yeah, I can see and hear you. Go on.
That's fine. That's cool. A little bit annoyed that I never seen the Curtis Millender Thiago Alves fight. I should have seen that coming a mile away. That a guy like Curtis Millender was going to absolutely tear up Thiago Alves. I don't know how I did not see that. I think maybe the whole. Sometimes I look into experience a bit too much, and I think I probably did it in that fight more than I really should have. Curtis Millender absolutely put it on Thiago Alves in that one and looked spectacular in doing so. Caught him with that vicious knee, put him down, and like even it was I thought when he went back he was going to get back to his feet, and the ref was like, "No, this is done. It's over."
Yeah.
Too much punishment.
Eyes in the back of his head.
Yeah, and he's got an opponent here who I think is a really tough fighter in Max Griffin. He's coming off obviously that big win over Mike Perry. I thought he fought a great fight against Mike Perry. Fought smart, did what he had to do, got out there. He was in the hometown of Mike Perry. And really beat Mike Perry's ass, if for being honest with you there. Millender is a really serious striker, but sometimes he does a few things that kind of leave, like what you doing. There's a video, there's a good guy on Twitter by the name of Mr. Honky, and he puts gifs of fights out, and he's a great guy for just going and looking at gifs. And he had, I can't remember what fight it was, he had the guy finished, he caught him with massive elbows. Then he decided to turn his back, and he got back taken, and then he got taken down. I'm like, what are you doing, man? You had that guy finished. So sometimes it's a little bit, his fight IQ is a little bit weird, but the guy's deadly on the feet. Max Griffin can take a lick as well. He faced Zaleski dos Santos, took a low punishment in that one, did not go down. Some money's coming in Max Griffin, which surprised me a little bit. I'm going to Curtis Millender. I think that his pinpoint striking is going to be a little bit too much for Griffin, and ultimately I think, does he stop him? I think he can stop him, but I'm going to go early third round for Curtis Millender there.
I'm quite high on Curtis as well, if I'm honest with you. I think he's got a lot of tools, and do you know what? One of the things that I love about his striking is if you throw a leg kick, he automatically throws that opposite leg high kick return. So a lot of guys, if you watch fights, especially in MMA fights, when a guy just throws a leg kick, just a leg kick, the other guy gets that stupid mindset of, well, you got me, I'm going to get you, and they throw a leg kick back, pretty much the next thing they're going to do. It's so annoying and telegraphed. It drives me up the wall, it does. But Curtis has kind of drilled himself into, you kick my thigh, I'll kick your head, and it works so well. It just puts people off. It catches them. I love the kind of like diversity he's got with that. You know, those little things that people don't do often is great. I like to say Max is tough. That Perry fight, in my opinion, it was Perry, and I still think Perry shouldn't be fighting on this card either. You know, he needs to take a bit of time off and develop. Like, all Perry's doing is fight camp, fight camp, fight camp, and there's not much developing, and the dude needs time to develop. He's got that power, but he hasn't got the right striking coach to develop it so that he knows when to release it and let those hands go. Max just did the smart thing. I'll let you punch the thin air, I'll keep the distance, and I'll just pick away at you and finish you off, and that's all he did. It was simple, and it's the only way to beat Perry. I think Max, though, he's got a guy in Curtis who's just a complete different fighter than Mike Perry. So I don't think we're going to get that from Max this time. I think Curtis, keep on the end of those shots, and it's just going to be a horrible fight for Max. I think Max is going to find a really difficult time closing that distance down, getting into his range, and I just think Curtis is just going to keep him on the end of him all day. I think a good decision, because I think Max, like you say, tough cat, but I'm going to Curtis decision win. Oh man, what a fight this next one as well. Oh my gosh, I can't take it. Raphael, Assunção, Rob Font. Ooh, man. Like, it's weird to think Raphael Assunção is still not fought for that bantamweight title. Like, I don't know. I don't know. The dude, like, TJ Dillashaw can't stop him. You know, he's just tough as coffin nails. Rob Font, though, man, what a performance Rob put on last time. You know, and credit to Rob. He reminds me of Jimmy Rivera, where he's just one of the unsung UFC top fighters. Like, the UFC didn't promote Jimmy Rivera at all. Didn't bother giving the right matchups. And the same with Rob Font. Rob Font's doing his thing, and he's doing so well, but the UFC don't bother. But I can't look past the Raphael Assunção. He's such an annoyingly good fighter. He's got wrestling, got jiu-jitsu, got striking, got a horrendously granite chin. Like, that fight against TJ, that rematch, he had been out for, what, 18 months, 2 years? And dude held his own against TJ Dillashaw, who had been fighting regularly. TJ Dillashaw was on point, fit was right, and Raphael did fantastic. And honestly, since Raphael's been back, man, I love Rob dearly as a striker and a fighter, and it's mixed martial arts. But when I look at the two here, I just think Raphael's just a little bit tougher, a little bit smarter, got a little bit more. And it does help having his brothers all being top level mixed martial arts as well. You know, when they're all trained together. I'm going Raphael Assunção decision, but man, I would not be shocked if one of them gets a finish, because the pair of them are deadly. But I just think Raphael's he's that guy. I think he's the quiet one to get that title fight.
It still surprises me, like you said, how he's not got. I think he's still the most underrated guy in the UFC.
Huge.
His skill set is pretty phenomenal. He's just solid everywhere, and he's one of those guys that I love betting on for the simple fact that fights can be close, and he comes out the other end of it. He does enough to win very close fights, and that's the guy. If you like betting fights, he's a guy to pretty much decent to put your money on. He's only lost like once in the last 7 years, and that was to TJ, and that was a rematch of when he beat TJ, which was very close. It could have went either way there. The only thing that concerns me in this fight is just his age, because he is like 35, 36 years old, so he is an older guy in a killer of a division. Like, the bantamweight division is full of killers, and there's always guys coming into that division all the time. Like Peter Yan, last time out, that's another guy that's come into the division. It's a serious division. In fact, was that featherweight actually?
Yeah, 145, because Ishara. Oh no.
130.
Ishara,
yeah. I'm not sure. I can't even remember now, but yeah, just a solid fighter. Hard to look good against. Hard to take rounds off, really. And he's beat, like, Marlon Moraes is next in line. He beat Marlon Moraes. It was a close fight, but I did think the right guy won personally. Aljo, he beat. I thought, actually, when I watched that, I thought initially the first time I thought Aljo might have did enough, and I did bet on Aljo to win via decision, so maybe I was a little bit kind of tainted with that. Like I say, I'm a big fan of Raphael Assunção. I think he's a really good, solid fighter. I think if he wins this fight here, I still don't think he's going to get a title shot. I really don't. I think he can.
The UFC aren't bothered about him. It's
I don't
obscene.
think he might get. I don't know. He might get a Dominic Cruz. He might get a Cody Garbrandt, depending on how that fight goes. He might get a Jimmy Rivera if he beats a John out. But I think it's going to be a little bit too good. It's hard to say that because Rob Font's dangerous, and I thought he showed up in his last fight against Thomas Almeida in his hometown, stopped him. Dangerous.
Starched him.
Yeah, starched him. Yeah, he really did. And I'm a big Almeida fan, and that really shocked me. And I can see where Almeida really was in the pipelines of that, and it's just like he's not going to be a top 5 guy with the way that he fights, so he needs to change something up. I'm going to go Raphael Assunção via decision. I just think he's a hard guy to face, and a hard guy to kind of. You might look like you're taking rounds off him, but you're not, and the judges are giving it to him. So, Raphael Assunção for the win there for me.
Yeah, Peter Yan was bantamweight. It was a bantamweight fight. And Uriah has actually got his hair cut. He chopped off his hair the other day. Yeah, chopped it all off, shaved it. Your camera, bro. Hit that camera again for us. God darn Skype tonight. Okay, so in theory, next up, what should happen is Paul Felder, gangster. Well, let's be honest. Paul Felder's getting mucked around here by the UFC. There's no two ways around it, mate. It's weird that you've got a guy who's a fighter, but at the same time, he does the microphone commentary for you. They mess him around twice in a year. It's really strange. I don't understand this. But he's stepping up a weight class to fight Mike Perry. Now, Paul Felder, Mike Perry, welterweight fight. It's not short notice because Felder's obviously was meant to fight, but his fight everything got mixed around. So it's not like Felder's stepping in last minute. He was already on his way. He was already in fight camp. He was already at the end. So what's your breakdown of this one?
Yeah, I feel like he's been messed around a little bit, but ultimately I think the decision was right to pull James Vick from the fight and put McGeachie. I'm trying to think who they could put in McGeachie, and James Vick is the guy who has been calling out Justin Gaethje for the longest time. But I did feel for
grudge match in it.
Yeah, I did feel for Paul Felder because he's just had a pretty shocking 2018 so far since he beat Charles Oliveira back in December, where he's had fights pull out. And but when Yancy Medeiros pulled out of this fight, I was like, who could they get to come in here? And I was like, Bilal Muhammad. That was the guy I wanted. And then I didn't even think of Paul Felder, and I knew that he needed a fight.
No.
And then all of a sudden I see Paul Felder saying that I would love to take that fight, and I thought the UFC have got to give him that fight. And ultimately they did. So yeah, it's going to be a fun one. It's going to be a lot of action, a lot of jaw jack for Perry. The one thing that Mike Perry's done for this is that he's went to Jackson Wink, and he is working under Mike Winklejohn. So there's a striking guy. You were talking beforehand, like Mike blows everything into his shots and doesn't know when to throw them. Maybe he might change it around here and do that. So both guys are similar sizes as well. So it's not like Mike Perry's going to have a distinctive size advantage. We seen in Glasgow Paul had a wicked weight, a tough cut to get down to 155, so he's probably going to be 190 by fight time very easily, and Mike Perry will be around the same size. Me, when I look at it, it's technique over kind of brawling, and I think Paul Felder is the more technical striker. I think he can brawl a little bit as well. I think he can mix things up a little bit more with leg kicks. I don't see this really hitting the ground. I'd be very surprised if this went to the mats at all. And if it's a stand-up fight, I'm picking the better striker, and I think the better striker is Paul Felder, in my opinion. So I'm going to go Paul Felder. I don't think he knocks him out, but I think he uses him as a kind of punch bag for 15 minutes of the fight. Now, I think there's aspects of this fight that could be very, very close, because Mike Perry is in-your-face fighter that's looking to... I know it takes us for one shot to kind of change the momentum of a round with that guy, but I'm going to go the Irish Dragon, Paul Felder, to decision.
Like you said, the size thing, I think you're bang on. I don't think there's... Felder's a big 155. That dude is a big boy. When he fills out, he fills out. I don't think, mate, we're going to see 3 rounds. I think Felder stops him flat out. I think Felder's going to knock Perry out. Again, I'm not overly keen on Perry still. I think Perry needs a little bit longer out. I really do. And also, he's at Winklejohn. I hope he stays there. You need more than one camp for it to make a difference. You need to be there for an extended period of time, because he's got bad habits that he's got drilled in him, and it takes a while to rewire that kind of brain to do the new habits. So when he's in there brawling, that red mist comes on, he bites that gum shield, he ain't thinking, oh yeah, Winklejohn told me that. No. He's just going gangster. He's swinging. Felder, good on his feet. He's got good footwork, bouncing around, moving in and out. He's going to have a lot more energy because he's not stripping himself of the weight. This is a good welterweight fight for Felder. I think Felder's got A, the kicks, B, the hands. Speed is going to be a huge difference here. Huge. Felder hits quick. Look at that Barboza fight. Woo! Like, dude is fast. I think Felder is going to... And the big thing is, if it does come to clinching, well, we know what Felder can do. Like, look at those elbows, man. Like, he will mess you up. I think Felder's going to just put Perry to sleep. I really do. A head kick would not shock me, because he's so quick and good with his kicks, and his hands are so quick. I think he's just going to knock Perry out, man. I do. I think he's just a way better striker. There's levels in this game, and like Perry's a brawling striker. Oh, Felder's so technically good, but technically powerful. That's the problem. Like, Felder can hit with power and technique, but Perry's more just power. So I'm going to go finish for Perry. Sorry, Felder. No, so main event on the prelim card, we have Mr. Paulo Costa against Uriah Hall. I'm going to say it flat, mate. I've got one person I'm picking out on this one. How do you see the... oh, no, it's me breaking down first. Mate, I see Costa taking this, mate, straight out. I'm not overly keen on Uriah Hall dropping down back to 185. After the last time, after the... I don't know what happened. Seizure, exorcism, you know, stroke. I think he had a brain aneurysm and he had, I don't know, leukemia as well. He got everything in that bloody weight cut last time, and he's going back down again. The UFC are absolute disgrace for letting him do it. After he said what happened last time, the fact that they're letting him do it again, that's bang out of order. They should say, look, 205, lad, stop. Costa, mate, is legit. Costa's legit. I was a bit unsure at first. I thought it was a bit of a poncy little look at me, with me butt muscles and me baby oil and me little shorts, and you're walking on the beach. But the dude's legit. I can't take away from the guy, man. He can crack. I think he cracks harder than Uriah Hall. And Uriah Hall, I've never been that big up on him. Ever since he fell apart to Kelvin Gastelum, when he should have, in theory, done a lot better, I've just never been that great on him. He's a bit of a bell end as well in the gym, Uriah Hall, bit of a bully, so that makes it even more so. I'm like, do you know what? Good. And he sparred with Francis Ngannou. Good. I hope he did. I hope he cracked you. I hope he hurt you. I hope he did. Again, I don't think that's a smart decision to make, is sparring with Francis Ngannou before you're about to fight someone. But yeah, I'm all for Costa here, putting Uriah Hall to sleep. That's if Uriah Hall makes it to the fight. That is the big question. Honestly, I'm scared. But I'm going Costa... First, second round stoppage.
Yeah, I struggle with you fights because that is that fighter inside where he can bring just something out of nowhere, but not that we see all that much, but it's just
Musasi.
It always sticks in my head. I don't know what it is, and like I agree with you with he should not be fighting at 185 after what happened. Like, it was a near fatal accident, and it shouldn't be on. Honestly, I'm going to pick Paulo Costa, and the fact that I think he's a very aggressive, hits hard, but when you look at his UFC wins, not really that good. Bambozi, Gareth McClellan, Johnny Hendricks is not even in the sport anymore. Probably we'll see him in Bellator in the next year, no doubt, or the PFL or something. It wouldn't surprise me. But Uriah Hall is just a guy. He scares me in this simple reason that I know that Costa is very, very aggressive, comes forward, and all it takes is a fast twitch spin kick, put the guy down. So I'm going to pick Paulo Costa via a knockout in the second round. Uriah Hall, for some reason in this fight, genuinely scares me. Don't know why, don't know what it is, but I'm going to pick Paulo Costa to stop the fight.
I hope Costa wins. I hope he does, big time. Only because I've decided I'm probably going to put a couple of pennies on him. Okay, next fight, light heavyweight fight. They're pushing Mr. Gökhan Saki, rightly so, because of his renowned kind of heritage with kickboxing and the name that he carries. Stick him on a pay-per-view card makes a lot of sense. You get the kind of crossover of the kind of kickboxing and K1 fans. Taking on Khalil Rountree. How do you see this going down, bro?
I think it's good matchmaking, personally. I think that I loved the first Saki fight in the UFC. It's just what you expect from a Gökhan Saki fight, and I think they did well by matching him with Frankenstein in that one. But to his credit, Frankenstein had parts of that fight where he looked like he had Gökhan in a little bit of trouble, and Khalil is a striker. So if these guys, if he catches Gökhan with a clean shot, he could potentially hurt him. But when it comes to a striking match, I'm going to pick Gökhan Saki every time. Khalil Rountree's not going to come out and take this guy down. He's never did it before. I don't think in his UFC career, in his MMA career, he's never taken guys down. So he's going to stand there. I don't think he's going to be as in your face as what Enrique de Silva was. So that means Gökhan Saki is going to pick you apart with some of his shots. And we've seen that knockout of Frankenstein. If you get too aggressive and give that guy an opportunity to throw a big left hand, he will spike you in the chin with it, and you'll be looking at the lights, waking up. And that's where I think that he can do that here. To me, Khalil Rountree is a mental midget. I don't know if you've seen the interview with MMA Junkie the last few days. Have you seen it?
I've not had a chance to see that one. I've been tied up.
I will send it your way, and all you need to do is watch the first 10 seconds of that interview to realise that this guy has got nothing there, and he's already, I think he's already lost the fight already within that first 10 seconds. He's just a complete mental midget, in my opinion. It's weird because I think in the Paul Craig fight, I think he did what he had to do. Like that fight week, he was like straight-faced, very
quite
serious,
quite relaxed though, wasn't he? He was like, when we were chatting to him, he was just like, it was like he basically had smoked a spliff. He was like, cool,
he was really chilled out. But he's coming off a loss, and he's coming off a loss to a guy that he did pop, but the guy's a lightweight. He doesn't fight at middleweight. Sorry, he's not a guy that fights at light heavyweight. So, and he got beat up pretty badly in that fight. I'm going to pick Gökhan Saki. If this is the striking fight, I'm going to pick the more elite striker, and that's Gökhan Saki in my opinion. Plus, I'm not the biggest fan of Khalil. The fact that he's humping Veronica Macedo, lucky bastard. Gökhan Saki via vicious, dirty knockout, and he wakes up and he's looking at the lights, and then he goes home to Veronica, bastard.
Yeah, I was about to say, probably because he's got the mental midget, because he's probably got Veronica's booty on his mind. That's what it is. He's just a bit distracted. That's something to have on your head. I won't mind that image. But yeah, Khalil, dude, if you do not wrestle, I wouldn't care if I didn't know how to do takedowns. I would try to go for whatever I could. The only way to beat Saki is just to take him down. It's not rocket science. He's not a top level wrestler. I know he's training with like Alexander Gustafsson. He's training up in the All Stars gym in between. Fair enough, but the dude's not been doing it long enough to have the level to stop it. Like, if you do not take him down, then you're in for a shitstorm, and you're hoping that you can crack him and catch him. Now, like you said, bro, Rountree can crack. We know this. He can hit hard. But man, Saki's just at next level, and I think the UFC are picking the right fights for Saki. They're getting him in the UFC, getting him a few fights, getting a little bit of hype to help get those pay-per-views in, like they are for here. And man, I'm going with Saki as well. I don't think Rountree's going to bother. Now, I'm hoping Rountree keeps his hands up. because he does have a tendency just to be confident with his hands kind of midway to the kind of midriff kind of area. He's quite confident with his speed and stuff. Like, no, fuck that. Saki's a monster. No, just get those hands up and hope that you don't get knocked out. But I'm going to say Saki's going to stop it.
Another thing here as well, that in that interview that I watched with Khalil, both guys were at the PI at the same time in the run up to this fight.
Awkward.
And yeah, supposedly, from what I'm hearing, Khalil was trying to be all pally-pally with Gökhan Saki, and Gökhan was like, "Get out of my face, I'm going to kill you." So this guy's trying to be friends with the guy, and Goki's like, "I'm going to kill you. I'm going to take you out in this fight." So it's just that mentality. You've got a killer against the guy that wants to be a friend. I'll go with the guy that wants to take that head off your shoulders.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Saki. I'm going to go second round, because I think Khalil can do enough to get to the second round with footwork, maybe avoiding the shots, and just maybe general grappling on the cage. You know, just get him up against there and hold him off for a bit. Next up we have a fight that should have happened already, but it's finally been rebooked, so to speak. Michael Chiesa, who was not very happy with Mr. McGregor, claiming that he, theory, should have and would have got a title fight because of the situation, against Anthony Pettis. Mate, we spoke about this before. My opinion has not changed in the time that this match has been rebooked. I still think Anthony Pettis should have had a different fight. I think he should have fought someone maybe not of Chiesa's kind of caliber, so to speak. I think Chiesa's just going to do the right thing. But let's go, bro. I think Chiesa's going to just close him down, get him down, and tap him out maybe. I just think Chiesa's going to win it. I just feel like Anthony Pettis is in that really awkward moment in his career where he needs to fight not maybe someone as deadly, because the losses that Pettis had are not to bums. He's fighting Murderers Row, the 155 division, but he just needs, I don't want to say a gimme, but he needs a more suitable opponent to fight.
Have
you changed your mind, haven't you, soft
I have changed my mind. I have changed my mind on this, and simple reason is I've been speaking to people at Rufus Sport, and that fight, was it 223? Anthony Pettis was having an absolutely unbelievably good weight cut and was so pissed that that fight got taken away from him. Now, since that fight, we had the whole McGregor thing.
Yeah, it wasn't anyone's fault. Yeah, it wasn't either party's fault. Yeah.
But Michael Chiesa has not been in the gym as much as he was beforehand. He moved out to the PI in Las Vegas, and so he's going between Syndicate and so on.
Yeah,
all there. But he's been doing stuff on Fox, so he's not been in the gym as much. Anthony Pettis, from what I'm hearing, has looked unbelievable this camp. It's kind of the continuation from the last camp. I see with this fight before, we know how Michael Chiesa wins this fight. If Anthony Pettis can't stop getting taken down by this guy, then he's going to be in a shitload of trouble. If this becomes a striking match, there's only one winner in my opinion, and that is Anthony Pettis. Michael Chiesa he's fought twice in like 2.5 years, so he's not got that much ring time. He's had other things going outside the octagon, which shouldn't really affect inside the octagon. But I've just got this, and like we spoke about it before, and I was pretty high in Michael Chiesa, but whether it's the fanboy in me, which it probably could be, or the people that I'm speaking to now, you have to remember, I have to remember probably, that when you speak to guys who are in that camp, who's the top guy in that camp? It's Anthony Pettis.
But they're not going to put him down, are they? They're not going to sit there and go, he's doing shit. Like
I just think this fight, I don't know why I'm thinking it's going to be closer than 223. I don't know why that's crept into my head. Probably just Anthony Pettis fanboy in me that's maybe making this decision. But I do feel that he's going to have an opportunity to win this fight, and it's going to be very, very close. I'm going to go Anthony Pettis. I'm allowed a fanboy pick, so I'm going to pick him in this one here. Probably shouldn't, but I am.
I think Pettis has got the best chance in the first couple of minutes, maybe. That's probably his best chance.
Yeah.
They're both fresh, and there's a bit of distance, and they've not engaged. I think that's probably his highest probabilities, maybe first 1 minute to 2 minutes. We've got a couple of pillow punchers next up, Will. Mr. Derrick Lewis against Francis Ngannou. this again is an ideal, suitable matchup for Francis Ngannou, someone who strikes, rather than giving him a pure base wrestler. So now Derrick has got the best Instagram on Instagram. Follow it. Is it the Beast UFC? I think it is his Instagram. Yeah. So people, I'll just say that. Just go on the Beast UFC on Instagram and follow Derrick Lewis. You won't see much of Derrick Lewis, but you'll see a lot of funny posts. It's so worth it. Absolutely love it. So we're going to wait for Will to sit his backside down in a moment.
I just realised I've got like 2% of my battery on my computer left. So
you plonker.
There we go. All good.
So break down Derrick Lewis, Francis Ngannou.
Good matchup for Francis Ngannou, I think. I think the UFC, they've kind of looked through who they could put this guy with, and I think the best one that really shows out is Derrick Lewis, because he's not going to grapple with you. It's going to be a striking affair, and it doesn't matter what anybody says, that guy's the most feared striker in the heavyweight division still. Just Stipe Miocic is just the better all-around fighter, and he showed that. And people were just getting so carried away with Francis just murking dudes. And which is true, right enough. We've seen what he did to Alistair Overeem when he knocked his chin into the sky, and I don't know whether it's ever came back. But Derrick Lewis, like you say, best Instagram kind of going, and his social media game is absolutely on top. Nobody, I don't think, rivals him really in that. The one thing that does worry me if he gets it to the ground, and he does kind of get into that mount, which I don't see happening though. But you can't sleep in the guy because he's got big power as well. So if these guys start changing, you can see Francis Ngannou taking a canvas nap and waking up to him getting knocked out. But when I'm just looking at the record here of Derrick Lewis, and he's like Tybura knockout, Travis Brown knockout, Shamil, Gabriel Gonzaga, Grabowski. So this guy's got some serious power. I just think that Ngannou's got that freakish power and speed. I think the speed that goes with it. I think if these guys start exchanging, Ngannou's got the faster hands, and I think to go along with his power, I just think it's going to be a bad night for Derrick Lewis. And I think if the UFC are looking at this fight, they want Francis Ngannou to win the fight and look spectacular again, because all it takes is him to do that in this fight and then the next fight, and you could put him in there. Christ, you might put him in there with DC, and you could put him back in. Could you put him back in there with Stipe again quick? Probably could, because it's the heavyweight division. Yeah. But I'm going to pick Francis Ngannou. I think this is going to be. It depends. It might be a little bit tentative for these two because they know they both have power. So it might actually be an absolute shit show of a fight where nothing really happens. So I doubt that personally, but it's something that has crept into my mind when I've been watching fights. It's like these guys just might stare at each other for 3 minutes 55 seconds of a round, and there's literally a minute of the round that you have to kind of score. So I'm going to go Ngannou to win via a TKO at some point of the fight there, though. So Ngannou for me.
I like the matchup as a simple rock'em sock'em. You know, there's not going to be double legs. We're not going to see any stuff like that. We're just going to see two guys basically try to knock the head off each other. Derrick Lewis, he's like you say, he can win this. Absolutely, he can win this. He's like you say, Francis Ngannou, freakish power. Derrick Lewis does not have that kind of footwork that you need to get out of the way. Stipe Miocic has the footwork and the head movement, etc. Derrick Lewis relies upon more his size to absorb the strikes and be able to take the punches. I'm hoping to see that Francis has learned a lot from that Stipe fight, to learn that you've got more than one round in a fight and you can't just rely on one round every time. I'd like to see Francis be a little bit more patient and a bit more just plan his shots a bit better. Don't just wing it. I hope that Francis maybe just takes his time a little bit more, and he would probably just put Derrick to sleep pretty quick if he just took his time with some shots a bit more picky. I think Lewis won't give you the room though. I'm going Francis Ngannou because there is that he just goes onto, I don't know, he just drinks, I don't know, he's like the Hulk. He gets angry and just releases this freakish power in his pants. I think Lewis is going to have. I think Lewis is tough as nails. I think he'll crack Ngannou, but I think Ngannou should be okay. And what I want to see, Francis win, okay, with knockout, that's fine. I don't care how he wins. But a Curtis Blades rematch, please. I want to 100% see them two fight in a rematch after this. Bang, that's it. That's all I want to see. Because I want to see how Ngannou does against the new Blades. Because he's a way different fight when they first fought. And Blades is legit, dude. First fight in the title bouts that we have on this card. Oh man, what a horrible one to judge. This is this is the hardest one for me to pick. I mean, I'm having a nightmare with this. But Max Holloway against Brian Ortega, featherweight championship on the line. Man, this is horrible, isn't it? Because Brian Ortega keeps winning. He's not that great at everything. Like, his wrestling's not the greatest at all, to be fair. His striking's getting better. His submission game is what? That's it. Bread and butter is A game. Like that's it. But everything else is kind of growing, but it's still not, in my opinion, I don't think it's like at the level it should be to be a champ. But he keeps winning. The dude takes... My only fear is like he does take a bit of a hit. He does take a few cracks here and there. Man, Max Holloway has got to be on point in this fight. He cannot get his head anywhere near Brian Ortega's armpits. It's the best way to put it. Not under, just near his armpits, because Ortega will just wrap that up quick. He'll jump at anything, bro. He will try to get it. Max Holloway just has to keep on the feet. Keep on the feet. Straight punches. Keep Brian Ortega away. Ortega, the problem he's got with Max Holloway is the gas tank that Holloway has. Holloway can put an obscene output for 5 rounds. We've not seen Ortega have to have a 5-round fight with a guy who's got a gas tank and an output like Holloway. That is... Can Holloway keep Ortega off him? I don't think Ortega can outstrike him. I don't think Ortega's going to put Max Holloway to sleep. Yeah, he dropped Frankie Edgar, who's had quite a few fights, quite a few bells rung in his time, and you know, he's on the latter part of his career. We all admit Frankie is. He's not no spring chicken in his career. But I'm not taking that win away from him. He's the first guy to do it. Kudos to him. It's probably the first of many, sadly, for Frankie coming up. But I think Max, I'm going to go Max. And that's only because I'm flipping a coin. Like, it's so hard to choose. I'm going to rely on Max Holloway keeping Brian on the back foot with the striking to really stop Ortega getting that. I think you might see Ortega jump to guard. Legit pull guard. I think you might see him pull guard. But I'm going to go Holloway decision. But I hate this fight. It's a horrible decision. Horrible to pick. But go on, go on, give me 2 cents, bro.
Well, I'll tell you, I bet on Renato Moicano, I bet on Cub Swanson, and I bet on Frankie Edgar. So Brian Ortega is my nemesis when it comes to I think what I was maybe thinking is I think he's a good fighter, but he's got that fear that nobody wants to go to the ground with him. But his striking skills are actually coming on. Like that knockout of Frankie Edgar. Now that had been coming for a long time. Frankie had dodged some bullets in the past, and eventually he got caught by this young, fast guy with hands that are improving all the time. In that Moicano fight, I think he thought he was losing the fight. Still, he's got this uncanny ability to stop fights late in the rounds, 3-round fights. He did it in like 4 consecutive fights. Crazy thing. You cannot let the guy get his arms around you. We've seen that against Cub Swanson. As soon as he gets the opportunity to drop down, he doesn't even have to have a full grip of you. If he can just get you to the ground, you're instantly in like the biggest bucket of shit you're ever going to be in, and you're never going to get out of it. And Cub Swanson literally only survived that fight in the first round because the bell went. And that was it. Second round, once he got his hands around him again, it was over. And it was the same in the Moicano fight. He had a split second, got the guillotine, it was done. I'm actually a massive fan of Brian Ortega, and I don't know why I've picked against him, and I don't know why I've lost so much money in it, but I'm going to do it here again. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to stick with this. I'm going to make some of this money back that I've lost in him.
Okay, go on.
In my opinion, Max Holloway is, outside of DJ, I think he's the second best guy in the sport. I think he's elite. And I love the fact that we've seen him come into the UFC. I think it was like a very small record, coming in short notice against Dustin Poirier, of all people. We've seen him take his losses. We've seen him just progress into an absolute killer of a fighter. And he's a guy that I don't think we're going to see at featherweight all too much longer, honestly. I think that weight cut's starting to get to him.
And if you got that Khabib fight, bro, that might have been just it there and then. He might have just went, nah, I'm done. Bollocks it, I mean. Let's just do it. Let's stick in here. Yeah.
And, I mean, he lost his fights. Bermudez, Poirier, McGregor, they're not bad losses to have in your record. He's went in there, he's beat the best featherweight that ever has been. Or was the best maybe ever has been. Maybe Holloway is the best featherweight we've ever had. And he is facing tough guys and marking them, really. He's been absolutely smashing them. And one thing I always say with Max Holloway fights is adjustments. I don't think there's a better guy in the sport that makes adjustments mid-round and picks little spots out that's going to make him the better fighter in the fight, and eventually finds them, and he'll find a way to knock you out. Did it in the third round against Aldo first time around, did it in the third round the second time around, where I thought Aldo actually fought a lot better fight, but then Holloway just made the adjustments and absolutely beat his ass. When it comes to the striking, I think that Holloway is faster, he's more varied, faster hands, better footwork, but I don't think he can take Ortega lightly. Ortega, I absolutely love watching Ortega fights, and I have no idea why I decide to bet on him every single time, but I do it, and I'm going to do it here again. I'm going to tell you one of my early bets if we get round to talking. I haven't bet it yet, but I will bet Max Holloway to beat Brian Ortega, and this might be the nail in the coffin to never bet against Brian Ortega ever again, but I probably should have learned that 2 fights ago against Moicano when he caught him in the third round. I see it being a really fun, great fight, but I just see, I think Max is great. I don't think Ortega's there yet. He has certain parts of his game that are great and probably will go down as being legendary because he has an unbelievable ground game. But I just think Max is the better fighter right here, right now. But this could come back to bite me in the ass big time.
I think Brian Ortega is a 2.0 of Charles Oliveira.
Yeah, but better.
Yeah, that's what I mean, like a 2.0, like the next. He is the evolved Charles Oliveira. The faults that Charles Oliveira had, he's never fixed them. But Brian Ortega kind of went, right, okay, I'm going to be a ninja on the ground. I'm just going to add these other bits as well, and that's what I see Brian Ortega as. He's just a better version of Charles Oliveira.
Oliveira quits. I don't think there's an ounce of quitting Brian Ortega either.
Exactly,
I think he's got the fortitude to really go after it, and
you have to put him to sleep.
You have to put him down.
Because
he's going to be there. And if this gets into the 5th round, you have to be wary of this guy because he can throw anything at you, and he can catch you with stuff like flying against Clay Guida. He caught him with that in the 3rd round when he looked like he could have lost that fight. He's just a scary guy to face. I love watching a fight. Of all the fighters that I've met over the years, and I've been thinking about this week, I've been off, or the last few weeks actually, there's the one fighter I would love to meet, and I've never had the chance to meet, was Brian Ortega. I just think he's a really nice dude. I love watching his interviews, and I love watching his fights, and like I say, I have no idea why I bet against him every time.
I love Max Holloway's interviews.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Confidence supreme, like the guy. Like, who's the older fighter here, actually? Is Ortega older than him?
Max is I think Max is still 17, isn't he? Gosh, Max is crazy young, isn't he still?
Ortega's 27.
Max is younger.
Holloway's 26.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. I'm going to go Max Holloway. I see him struggling to knock out or take out Brian Ortega because I think Ortega is very tough and dogged. But I need to win the fight here. I'm a little bit more confident than I am in the main event we've got coming up.
I think Max Holloway gets the win, goes up. I think he goes up after this, and I think you got Ortega as your future featherweight king.
Oh, I think it could happen, definitely.
Definitely. I just feel
Ortega's going to move up, so that 155 is going to be unreal eventually with fighters coming in there. So
just horrendously delicious, isn't it? Like, you think Khabib, Ortega, that's a 155 fight to make.
Yeah. Yeah.
Khabib, let's see how good your wrestling is against a guy who needs just this. He needs that. That's a fight. That's a fight right there. Not Charles Oliveira, Brian Ortega against Khabib. Okay. Yeah, main event, bro. Stipe Miocic, Daniel Cormier. Man, this one, I think this is harder. I love the Max Holloway, Brian Ortega fight. This is technically a really difficult fight to pick. I've picked my winner, but what are you going with? What are you seeing in this fight, man?
This is the one I'm struggling with.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm a big believer in Stipe Miocic. Honestly, I think he's I said this before when he come into the UFC. I said to a couple of guys, this guy's going to be a champion. I think he's going to be really dominant, and he's turned out he's probably the most dominant heavyweight we've ever had by far. With the best rounded skill set, I think this one of the best guys in the sport to have the best well-rounded game outside of DJ. Great wrestling, great hands, accurate, hits hard, fights to a game plan to an absolute T. That what he did against Ngannou was perfect. He had to do what he had to do. He could have probably stopped that fight, but he got himself gassed out, kind of carrying that guy around and just putting it on him. And then you've got a guy coming up in DC who, see, when you go back and watch his heavyweight fights, his early fights in Strikeforce, the guy, what I find weird is that at heavyweight he was more willing to strike than he was at light heavyweight. Now, I don't know, maybe that's the weight cut, taking all the energy and the speed, yeah.
I think it's speed, mate. They're slow at heavyweight compared to what they are at light heavyweight.
When you watch him against Antonio Silva, he was throwing 3 or 4 strikes combinations, hitting hard.
Yeah.
And I loved the confidence he had in his hands up at heavyweight. We never really seen that much of that down at light heavyweight.
The only fight was John Jones where he was, because that was more... He hated John Jones and he just probably wanted to be overly aggressive. Yeah.
I've never been like a huge fan of D. I started to like him more. Like, I'm a big John Jones fan, or a big John Jones admirer. But I think I've started to like him more since his losses, because I think you can see he's a real cool guy. He just wants to be the best in the sport, and he's doing everything the right way, unlike John Jones, who's doing everything the wrong way. But if he wins this fight, he's got 2 belts. Does that put him above John Jones? Taking everything that John Jones could have been doing? Interests me. It really interests me if he can pull this off. When I look at the matchup, I'm like, can Stipe take him down? I'm like, I don't know. I think he can. I'm not sure. I know that DC can take him down. And watching those heavyweight fights from Strikeforce, I never watched all of them, but I looked at Josh Barnett. He's the same height, and he's the same weight as what Stipe is, and he threw Josh Barnett around in that fight. So I'm thinking he can do that to Stipe, but Stipe has far better hands than what Josh Barnett has. And by the way, Daniel Cormier gives 0 fucks about going to the ground with Josh Barnett. He put his leg in there for leg locks and just kind of whatever. I'm struggling with this fight, I'll be honest with you. I think the bet lines are way off. There's no way that Daniel Cormier...
He's heavy, isn't he? Yeah.
He's a heavy favourite, and Daniel Cormier is like plus 250. I think I've seen him plus 260. Way off. I see him maybe as plus 150 underdog. Nothing much more than that. Yeah. Ultimately, I think I'm going to pick Stipe Miocic. I think that, talk about those heavyweight fights of Daniel Cormier, that was 5-6 years ago. He's had a lot of... not bad weight cuts, but tough weight cuts down to 205. That's going to take advantage. It's going to take away from your deplete you and so on. But he's not having to make a weight cut for this one here, so he just has to keep himself in shape. Can go 5 hard rounds, I'm guessing, I'm 100%. I'm struggling with this one, but I'm going to pick Stipe. But honestly, I could wake up on Sunday morning and see that Daniel Cormier's got 2 UFC belts and puts himself along a certain Irishman of having 2 belts at the same time. So, honestly, 51-49, Stipe Miocic. No real confidence in the pick either.
Well, at least DC's defended a belt.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
I'd put DC above straight away. But then again, you've seen the pound for pound rankings, absolutely mind-boggling. I think they've got the most dumb-ass representatives doing those voting for the pound for pound. It's more favouritism than anything else. It's absolutely horrendous. Okay, yeah, bro, man, I hate this fight. DC's undefeated at heavyweight. Let's just put that out there straight away, folks. DC's undefeated at heavyweight. Like, he came into the UFC at heavyweight, did a job, did a great job, had no problems, didn't look in any trouble. Went down to light heavyweight because his brother from another mother, Cain Velasquez. In hindsight, I wish if we had a crystal ball, we'd say, DC, just stay at heavyweight. Because Cain's not going to fight for the next 10 years because he keeps getting bloody injured. You know, it would have been so much easier. And DC would be fighting heavyweight, probably would have had a title by then. Not a problem, honestly. Man, Stipe can bang. And this is the problem DC's got. DC got stopped by John Jones. Now, I don't know if it's John Jones's power. I don't know if it's the weight cut for DC that depletes his brain a bit. I don't know. Combination of just fighting over the years and his body just... I don't know. But DC's got that... We've got to be super careful. Because we saw how good Stipe is at moving back out the way and countering, like he did with Fabrizio Verdun. You there, Will? So the picture froze. I was like, oh no, not again. He's gone. Yeah, so I think you've got to be super careful about going to be offensive against Stipe. Like, if he charges in, Stipe can land some great shots and knock you out. He can knock his ass out easy. But when, like you said, mate, those Strike Force days when he fought legit heavyweights and ragdolled. And each fight, he looked small. Every one he fought, he looked a tiny dude and just threw them. He looked like Felder. Like, DC reminds me of Felder. Just doesn't look like a heavyweight, but just can manhandle heavyweights. Like, was nothing. Like you said, the combinations he does is speed. He's so fast at that weight class. He can get away with throwing 4 punches because the heavyweights don't have time to react. But in light heavyweight, you can't get away with that 4 strike combination because they're of similar speed. If it was, say, a middleweight going to light heavyweight, again, it's the same thing works. You can be faster, so you can do a little bit more than you would do the same weight class. You're going Stipe. I'm going to go DC then. Alright, and the reason is, it's too tight to call. And it legitimately is too tight to call. DC ain't going to gas. DC ain't going to get tired. Is Stipe going to get tired with all that grappling? Now, in the Francis Ngannou fight, he was not gassing because he was dominating, because he was winning the grappling exchanges. But what happens if Stipe's losing the grappling exchanges? How quickly does his gas tank deplete? Fighting off those takedowns, fighting back. I'm going to go DC decision because it's a horrible fight to pick. I'm with you. The betting lines are horrendous. I'm actually going to put some money on DC because the betting lines are so off. You'd be mad not to want to put something down because DC has a legit chance to win. If he wins, it would not shock me. But I partly want him to win because it sets up John Jones heavyweight fight. It sets it up. It's there. It's there for us all. But then again, I love DC. Love his mindset. Love everything about DC. Not DC. Stipe. Sorry. Stipe's beautiful human being as well. Funny. He's one of the lads, and he wins the title. Stipe goes down as one of the best heavyweights that has been full stop for me. But yeah, I'm gonna go DC because we need to. You picked Stipe, I'll pick DC. It's too tight to call. I love the fight. I love the matchup. It's going to be a sick UFC 226. Let's move on to the bets, though. So like I just said, I'm going to just stick a couple of quid on DC because it'd be silly not to with those betting lines. Will, what have you put on so far, and what are you thinking about maybe putting on? What would people maybe want to look at on this card in particular for ideas?
I think it's a tougher card for betting than this one. I think there is some spots there if you like underdogs. DC is a big dog that if you think is going to win the fight, then you have to put money on him, plain and simple. I'm going to put money on Max Holloway. I haven't did it yet because the line is coming down. He's at, I think, minus 145 over here in the UK.
That's not bad.
I hope it comes down a little bit.
Yeah.
And whether I'm going to be a big asshole again and put money on and lose again on Max Holloway, but I am going to put it on him and hopefully he wins this time against Brian Ortega. I think Curtis Millender's a good one. I think Lando Vannata is a very, very good one. I think Raphael Assunção is another good guy to bet. Yeah, the other kind of guys I'm looking around, maybe like a Gökhan Saki knockout. Hopefully there's decent odds for that. But honestly, I don't think I put anything on yet off the top of my head. Max Holloway's been the one that's been in my head for the longest time.
Creeping it down, right?
Yeah, and it's coming down, so it's better value for me. So the other guys I'm looking at right now, it's Assunção, Vannata, and Holloway. And there might be somebody else. Let me see.
So you thinking parlaying a couple, or are you just thinking outright?
I might parlay one of them. Paul Felder, actually. Paul Felder might be one to look at. And
Felder and Saki?
Yeah, his odds are really, really close as well. So that you might get a bit of value in Paul Felder. So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm going at there. I'm going to stay well away from the main event, but I'm going to bet Max Holloway.
See, I think like a fiver on DC, just a win. You lose it. But the thing is, the odds are that good. It's just like, yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Especially if we get closer, then people might start putting more on Stipe maybe because he still think he's going to win it. You never know. But yeah, that's an insanely good card. I can't wait for it this weekend. It's International Fight Week. The International Fight Week bit just went right downhill. In general, the UFC just went downhill with any fan interaction stuff. But the fights, they still got fights on. That's all that matters. And we've got fights on, Will, pretty much every week until the first week of August, I think. And then we get a little break. So lots of fights to talk about coming up. Again, hit the subscribe button, follow us, join us, and interact with us. We love you all. Thank you everyone for commenting. I do my best to comment on the YouTube comments as soon as I see them. So I'll try to best keep on tabs as much as I can. But from me, thank you so much, people. And Will, any last words?
Just enjoy UFC International Fight Week if you're going to the events. I know it's definitely not as good as it once was, but I'd still rather be in Las Vegas doing that than going to work and having to do all that menial shit. So enjoy yourself if you're out there, and if you're not, enjoy the fights Friday night and Saturday night.
Boom, there we go, bro, done. Oh man.